Hey everyone, welcome back to Redbanditracing. Welcome back to the channel. We got the Mini E-Revo here, aka Merv, and we have some problems. Looks like we can't steer to the left ever since we went to the skate park. If you guys haven't checked that video out, I'll put a card up for you guys. Go check that video out. It's actually really fun. But it took a couple hard landings and the steering went right and froze, wouldn't go left. So I'm assuming that we might be having a problem with the servo. So we're gonna have to take the servo apart and see what broke. There's a couple things we're gonna test on it first to see what actually happened. We also got a broken rocker arm on the cantilever system. So we're gonna go replace that real quick, but we're gonna jump right into it. I'm not sure how long this video is gonna be. It depends on what we find. So let's get right into it. All right, so I got my remote with me. I do have a battery because we're gonna test it real quick. Let's go and get the body off. I don't think I'm gonna be able to work with this on the stand just because it's not gonna turn. This car is very small. So we're gonna put this down. Let's go ahead and pop the battery in it. And we're gonna leave the battery in it throughout the remainder of this because we're gonna test it a couple times. Get the remote on, car's on. As you can see, it's not even steering. At all. Oh, there we go. Wow, that unfroze right there. All right, let's test that. Right there. I can hear it. It doesn't sound good. All right, so it's definitely getting stuck. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove this linkage right here from the servo horn. What I wanna do is, by removing that, this is really smooth. And by removing this, I'm gonna test it again and see if it works just fine. That's a great way to find out exactly where the problem is coming from by process of elimination. And the quickest way to do that is remove that right there. Well, that sounds bad. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Oh, there we go. It got stuck right there. We know there's a problem. Let's turn it off because we don't want to damage the servo any more than it might be damaged. But with that arm off, this is really smooth. So we know that the bearings in here are okay for the steering linkage, and the bearing that's right in here, there's like a spring in here, and this whole linkage is really smooth. So we know it's nothing that happened in here. Let's go and take that servo out and do more inspection. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these two screws out on top of the servo, because what's going on is those screws hold this cage in and the servo. All right, I got those out. So this bottom piece should come off, just like that. Let's get these screws so we don't lose them. That one likes to stick in there right here. Here we go. Now let's go and pop this guy out. Oh God, I think it goes through the bottom. It does go through the bottom. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut this zip tie right here because I'm gonna need a little bit more room to work on. I don't know if you guys saw, but it goes right under, the wire goes right under the motor. It depends on where you guys have it. I don't think I'm gonna remove it any more than I need to, so that's probably okay for me. If you guys wanna remove it all the way, that's fine. You're gonna have to just get the ESC out of the way, which I don't know if you guys ever taken the ESC out on one of these. Open the battery tray and just slide it out, just like that. So if you wanted to get that out of the way, you can. You don't have to. It doesn't look like it's going to free it up too much more. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to get a rag. Take my rag, put it right there. Gives me something to lay it on so it doesn't move. I might just take this one tire off real quick. All right, so let's go ahead and get this guy off here because this top cover is going to have to come off. So we'll pop that off. Took a little extra prying. That was on there really good. You can hear it just by turning it manually. There's got to be a broken gear in there. I think that's all it is. So what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to get my screwdriver. And let's go ahead and take this back cover off. These are just little Phillip heads. You guys have a little screwdriver laying around, we're perfect for this. Just make sure you be careful. Be careful with these screws. I'm going to show you something real quick while I take these out. I think I can leave those in there right there. On these screws. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully it focuses in. You guys probably can't see it. There's a little rubber seal right here. Don't lose those seals because that keeps all the debris out and all the dirt out. You're just going to push down on the top of the servo gear and slowly separate the housing. One of those screws is not all the way out. I think it's this one right here. All right, we got that out. I'm going to take the whole thing off just like this. Find out what's going on in here. All right, so take those gears out. I'm going to put them right down here. I'm going to look at them individually. All right, unfortunately, that one looks good. Really look at the teeth. These are really super small, guys. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see me seeing this because it's got to focus, but unfortunately, that one looks good too. All right, let's get down to this one. I don't even know how these come apart, to be honest with you. Pull that pin out. Okay, that pin comes out like that. Okay, it's good to know. Let's check this one out. It's a little debris from outside. Okay, all right. So again, unfortunately, this one looks good. All right, guys, I think we found the problem. Unfortunately, this is still good. So, I mean, I know I'm saying unfortunately, but I really wanted to see a problem because now I think we're gonna need a servo. I have not taken one of these completely out, so I think that's what I'm about to do. All right, so don't lose that seal. It looks like we have a damaged servo. I was really hoping for some gears, guys. I was really hoping for some gears. Looks like we're not going to be needing these. I'm going to put these back on the shelf. Those will be good for something later. What I'm going to do before I do this is we're going to go ahead and send this in. I'm going to take the rest of it apart. I could probably do that with you guys. Let's go ahead and disconnect this. We're going to go and take this motor out. Like I said, this isn't the easiest to work on. I think it's just because it's small. It's not hard to work on, I should say. It takes you a little bit extra time. And we're going to go ahead and get this cleaned up real quick. Now let's take off the cover for the receiver. Okay, now we got to take the other one off. Let's go ahead and get me a pick. Pop that one off. And then we got to pop this one off. Yeah, it's weird how they have this set up. It kind of latches down in like that. So, okay, we got that guy out. What I'm going to do off camera before we go ahead and put everything back together is I'm going to get everything nice and cleaned up. But I just want to pull this apart, check it out. Go ahead and pull it apart. Don't pull it apart too much though. Yeah, you don't want to pull that all the way out because that seal right there is going to pull that circuit board out. It's just a tiny little circuit board in there, and then you get your little motor. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and send this out for repair. If not, just have it replaced. It just depends on what Traxxas wants to do with it. And we'll pick up the video once we get it back. And then once we do that, we'll put this in, get this all mounted back up, and then we'll go ahead and continue on fixing the rocker arms. So I don't know, this could be a couple weeks. For you, it could be a couple seconds. So hopefully it doesn't take too long. For me, for you guys, it'll be a couple seconds. So we'll be right back. All right, guys, so it's only been a day. I know I said it was going to be a week, but I decided not to mail it in because I just realized this car is about a year old. So sending in this servo wouldn't really make a difference. I know Traxxas does give a little bit of a discount when you send your damaged electronics in, but I believe this is like 30 bucks. I mean, it's like what, $32, I think. Spending $10 to send this in and then getting a little discount on the new one really isn't worth it, me sending this in. So what I did is I went ahead and picked up a new one. Part number 2080R. This is actually the metal gear servo. So I'm going to take this out so we can take a look at it. So we're going to go ahead and drop this in real quick. This was about $44. So this actually wasn't that bad of a deal, and it was worth upgrading. Now, this may not give a whole lot of speed. I can't really give you too much on the specs. Traxxas really picks and chooses the specs that they put out. So I don't know what the torque is on this. I think the old one was, I want to say 41 ounces. I think I saw somewhere on another site that it was like 41 ounces. It's not much. There's not going to be much on this. So I don't know what this one's going to be. We're going to pop it in, make sure everything's all set up, and then make sure everything works right, and then replace that rocker real quick. So let's go ahead and pop this cover off. All right, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to fish this through. And this stand with this car does not make it easy to work on. I think it's just the car is just too small. All right, so we got that. Now we're gonna put this in channel 1. Flip that around because the ground is in the back. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this cover back on. Careful that seal, because this seal right here, man, this seal bounces around a lot. Get my pick. I did clean this up off camera so I can get all the dirt off of it so it looks a little bit better. Yeah, I don't know what is with the way that this one is, but it's definitely a little harder to work on. You're going to find that out with a lot of the smaller cars. Now this antenna wire right here, sorry if I'm getting out of the view of the camera, I'm just making sure that this is in right. There. That's in. It's really hard to make sure that that seal doesn't get pinched because this cover has to fold down and in. So that's how that cover goes on. Okay, that'll be good. Now we get that in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this routed over here. Oh, you know what, guys? I think I messed up already. Oh, man, I definitely messed up. All right, so let's go ahead and get this wire. Fish through the bottom right there. Make sure the wire on the servo is on the back side. So it's on the back of the car, facing the back of the car. If you have the other way around, the servo is going to be backwards. So that's how it goes on right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this up first, and then I'm going to mess with this in the back. It's just going to make it a little bit easier for me. Put over, it's going to go right there. Going to get our cage right here. You know what? I'm going to have to wait to put that on because I got to make sure that that servo is actually straight. Because if I put this on right now, it's going to be a little bit harder to fight to get the servo horn on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it hanging right there. And I'm going to go ahead and work on the back end. So what I'm going to do is I can get some of this stuff out of the way just to help out. Just take the ESC and put it down. It gets it out of the way. All right, so let's go ahead and get this. We're going to fish this in. All right, got that. I'm going to put that one in channel 1. All right, channel 1. So now move some of these wires out of the way. Especially this antenna wire. It's really close to the bottom. Nope, see that right there, right down in the corner right there, that seal's wanting to pop out. Nope, still wanting to pop out. So I'm going to get off the camera just a little bit so I can look at it. All right, yeah, that's better. All right, got it. Yeah, sometimes you have to really wiggle it just a little bit so that that seal doesn't pop out. If you have big hands, it makes it even harder because everything's kind of really close together. I'm going to plug the motor in just to have the motor plugged in. But I'm going to go ahead and connect a battery, and I'm going to make sure that that servo is actually centered. All right, got a battery. I'm actually just going to leave the battery in here, just like I did last time. And what we're going to do on the remote, I'll leave the remote right here. Multi-function knob off. That way TSM's off, so I'm not moving it around. The wheels aren't trying to correct, even though they're not connected. I just don't want anything moving around. All right, so that's like that. See if it works. Everything works just fine. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get our remote right here, right there, and make sure that that's zeroed out. Because now that that's zeroed out, this is straight. Now that it's straight, what I'm going to do is turn it off. Get that servo horn. Mount on just like that. That's actually pretty straight right there. But that's where you want it. You want it facing this way, not up and down. Get that tight. Now that that's straight, you don't have to worry about the servo moving around a little bit. It's okay. Just make sure that you hold the horn so you don't hurt the motor. We can mount this real quick and test it. I was just looking over at my dielectric grease. Looks like my dielectric grease container's leaking a little bit. Oh, there we go. Let me get my 2 screws, which are the regular flat heads. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to use my needle nose. I'm going to get it started like that because my hands are a little bit too big to squeeze in there. That back screw also holds down that vent for the battery. That vent right here helps to hold that down. Now what we can do to make sure that horn is where it's supposed to be, turn the remote on, turn the car on, just like that. Perfect. See? Perfect. Let's go ahead and shut it down. Let's go ahead and put this back on. I want to make sure those wires are where I want them. Let's get my dielectric grease, which is leaking a little bit. I'm going to get a new container. That's all you need. You don't need to smear this thing on a lot. I have said that time and time and again. Lift these wires up because I just want to see where they are. That one's going to fit right there. I'm happy if this one is right there. All right, so that's perfect right there. Because you don't want to pinch a wire. If you end up putting this thing back together, and once you have it together, you have some electrical issues, just go right back to your installation, the last thing that you put on, and then work your way back. You don't need to take everything apart because that's a little bit time consuming. That's why it's good to periodically check your car as you're putting it together, because that way if there is a problem, you're not chasing your tail when you're all done, trying to find out what changed, what I did, why it stopped working all of a sudden. That way you can kind of just go right back to the last thing you put on and go, okay, well, there's the problem. That one's twisted a little bit. I want to untwist that one. I don't like that that was twisted. Yeah, that's better. All right, so all those are going to go down there. I'm not too worried about those. Motor, let's go and put the motor on real quick just so we can kind of see where it is. Man, I keep dropping these little tiny little screws. There you go. All right, so let's get this motor on just like that with nothing in the way. Get my Loctite here. Put a dab of Loctite on it. I've not found any Loctite that I personally like. I think some of the Loctite is too watery. I had some that I really liked, but it ended up leaking. So I had to replace it. There's nowhere else to store it. I like that one because it was more of a gel. So it was a little bit easier to apply than this. This is more like, this is really thin. And this is just, a local hobby store. You take that little side one off because that's how you take that top cover off so you can check your mesh. Get this somewhat tight and then slowly back it off. Put my pick in here. Right there. That was my first attempt. Perfect. All I'm doing is I'm using a pick to hold the pinion steady and moving the spur gear. And as you can feel the slop. Just enough to work, a little clicking. Perfect. Go ahead and throw this cover back on. Yep, those wires aren't going to be pinched. They're in a good spot. Don't even have to move them. The only thing I'm going to do, I even like the back one. The back one's right there. You don't have to worry about these moving around a whole lot. They're fine exactly where they are. Just leave them where they are. They're not going to be in the way. Those, I'm going to get a zip tie real quick, and we're going to zip tie that. Now, the reason I'm zip tying this is, obviously I don't want these wires bouncing around in here. Especially since the shock and everything is right there. I don't want nothing to get damaged, so I'm going to pull it tight right there. Hope you guys can see that. The wires are going underneath, so if I were to take this ESC out, you can see them right there. Make sure when you push that in, that you can still tug on the wires a little bit, so you know nothing's being crushed. Motor's plugged back in, so we got the battery installed. Let's fire it up. I wonder if this is any faster. I'm going to moderately push it down. I wonder, guys, if that steel one does have a little bit more torque. I think it's got a little bit more torque. Wheels look centered, don't have to mess with anything there, so hopefully that's good. This actually should be pretty simple. Let's see how fast we can do this. So what we're going to be doing here is this back rocker arm. Let me see if I can angle it down. And then we can see this better. This arm right here. Let's see what size. I think they're all the same. Yeah, see right there. Take these three out. That one actually, that's tiny. I think that's the 1.5, the one that goes into the shock. Yes, it is. That is so tiny. This thing is pretty beat up. Let me take this bottom one off. All right. All right, easy, easy. Right there. Took that bottom one off. Right there. Let me go grab my dew pack. Again, this is 7158. This comes with all of them. Let's go and open this up. I don't know what I'm going to need, so I'm going to kind of have to dump this out. All right, so these are labeled. I'm going to see if I can't zoom in for you guys, just so you can see it. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll try and angle it a little bit. It says right front. So that's a right front, left front. See if I can find the right one real quick. All right, we got these guys right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put these together, which is going to go on like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our bushings right here, because these don't come with regular ball bearings. I believe these are like Teflon. These are going to go in there like that. All right, so I'm going to take this guy, put it right through. I'm going to kind of move that shock out of the way. And when I'm going to start it, that way it doesn't move. So perfect right there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get this guy. I can't believe how low this is to work on. Try and get this link. Get that link on there. Don't think it went in, which is okay. I'm gonna have to get it off this right here so as I can see it. There we go. There we go, now we got it. Go down with it just to where it's snug. You don't want to over crank these because that's probably how it's gonna break again, especially if you over tighten it. All right, now that that one's in, now let's go ahead and get that shock. And this is why I like using picks. You guys just go to you guys got a Harbor Freight or something, hardware store, you could probably pick them up for like $2. Just get a cheap set of picks. Now we get that one in. Now let's get that big guy. Right there, felt resistance. The second you feel resistance, I would just stop. Don't go any further. All right, there we go. Got that arm nice and replaced. All right, this thing's gonna be back on the road. We're gonna get rid of these. Get rid of these broken parts. These are pretty worn out. Those Teflon bearings are definitely, they're grooved a little bit, but yeah, you can see where it broke right there. All right, so we're gonna get rid of these. I'm gonna put these away. We got some spare parts. Not that hard of a repair. Well, that'll do it. It's all fixed up. Got the new servo in. Got the new rocker arm. This thing's ready to go again. That servo hopefully should be a lot tougher now and should be able to bash a lot harder, which he's already doing. So hopefully it can hold up a little bit more. Definitely not going to take this to the skate park. If I had one thing to say about the Mini E-Revo, which we will be going over during our 1-year review, which is coming out, it's not a basher. This is definitely not a basher. You're gonna have to do a lot of upgrades to this to get it to be able to bash, especially at a skate park. Skate park, the skate park's too much for this car, guys. It can't take the hits. The arms that it comes with are too thin. You gotta go RPM. Center drive shaft, it snaps. We went through 2 of them just on a baseball field, and that's because the rocks get caught in there. You're gonna have to go with the steel. The skid plates are a must for many reasons. First off, they're a little stronger and they keep the rear housing from separating, which usually tears up your differentials. So yeah, it's definitely gonna need some upgrades, but it's all fixed up. It's ready to go. It's not that hard of a repair. The servo is actually pretty easy on this. So I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment. I know there were some comments about what we should do to this, if we were gonna put like a telemetry system on it. I don't know if we're gonna do that because I'm not sure if putting telemetry in this is actually even worth it. We already know how fast this goes. We can track it with our tracker. Putting telemetry in this, I mean, it's fun and all, but it's just, I think it's just a gimmick. You know, it's a cool add-on, kind of like the lights. It's a cool add-on, but if you're gonna go out hitting stuff with it and running it pretty hard, you're probably not gonna want LEDs on this. They're gonna break. Some of these are already broken, but they still function. So I'm not sure if we're going to put the telemetry on it. If we get enough people wanting the telemetry on this, just to see how it's put in, leave a comment down below and let us know you want to see it. But yeah, hope this helped. Everything will be in the description, all the parts used. Hope you guys enjoy this video. See you guys on the next one.